You know you've outgrown who you used to be when the things that you used to do that felt so comfortable, now they feel uncomfortable. When you try to go back to your old kick it spots and suddenly it just is no longer a vibe. You feel awkward and even out of place, or you try so hard to shrink yourself because that's what you've always done. But suddenly, now you can't just sit in the background like you used to. Now you are center stage and you can't help but speak up. It's when you find yourself in just the regular schmegular everyday moments, but you can no longer pretend to be somebody that you just no longer are. And that's how you know you've outgrown who you used to be. And letting go of who you were, that can be a whole thing within itself. That can definitely be a process. So, friend, what happens when you have outgrown who you were, but yet you're not yet quite who you're becoming? Let's get into it. Nobody talks about this very often, but letting go of who you once were, it can really feel like a loss. Like you might even feel lost. And it can be a loss, honestly. And nobody really talks about grieving who you once were. Because to change means it's not just a change for you, it's a change for you and everybody that is around you. Because truth be told, they didn't sign up for this change. They agreed to who you used to be. They may not be on board with this new version of you. And that within itself can definitely cause some grieving to happen. And I'm going to talk a lot more about that in the next podcast episode, number 296. So make sure you're subscribed so that we can talk more about what it looks like to grieve who you once were. And today, I really just want to focus in on recognizing when you are at that pivotal transitional space where you're not quite who you used to be. And listen, I get it because people can often love who you were and not really recognize this new person that you are. When you have spent so much time being a people pleaser and putting everyone else before you, and suddenly that's just not how you operate anymore. Now you're considering your needs and your wants first. Now you're making sure that you're in the top three of your priority list. And people are not used to you being this new woman who is all about you right now. And it isn't even so much that you're not about other people, it's just that now you are within your top three priorities and they're used to you being on the back burner. They're used to you not even making the list. And we just do not talk enough about what it's like to feel like you have to let go of who you were. And it's not even that you need to really let her go. You just have to recognize that now she has a different position. She used to be the one who was in the driver's seat and making all the decisions. But now she's maybe in the back seat, or maybe she ain't even in a car, okay? And it can definitely be a shift. I know for me, the version of me that lived for so long was the single mom version of me. I was in my late 20s, divorced with a baby on each hip, and me going through that single season of being a mom and raising two kids. And that was my identity, honestly. For the longest time, I identified myself as a single mom. And for years, and I mean like a decade ish, that's what I called myself. And therefore, that's what I was. And I didn't realize that because I had clung to that title so much, it was my identity, it's who I seen myself as. I didn't realize that that was the very thing that kept me single. Okay. And after I decided that I was more than a single mom, and that was not who I was destined to be forever. When I realized and I owned the fact that God made me a wife, that is when my life shifted. Shortly after that declaration, I met my husband, and we're living the happily ever after, friend, okay? But even though I met the man of my dreams and we are living our very own dream come true, it also was a huge transition for me to go from Little Miss Independent to Little Miss Boot Up. It took a lot for me to release that independent, you have to do it on your own self, to be okay with allowing him to help me, allowing him to support me, and me learning that I really don't have to do it all on my own, that I can partner up with someone to build something new, something better than even I dreamed of on my own. And we don't often talk about that transition of going from being a single woman to being a married woman. And even when being a married woman is something that you so deeply desire, it does not mean that you're not going to miss that independent woman. And realizing that she's not the one driving in this new relationship. She is no longer the one in control. And she's used to being in control. She's used to not running things by anyone. She's used to doing everything her way and not even having to collaborate with anybody on what exactly that looked like. She just did what was best for her. And now you're in this relationship and you have to collaborate. Well, I won't say that you have to, but if you want a successful, happy, healthy relationship, collaboration comes with it, especially if you dream of having that level of connection in your relationship and marriage, which I did. And so that meant surrendering a part of me that she could no longer live here with us. And that can be a really tough thing for some women to go through. And even when you get the thing that you have been praying for, it doesn't mean that it doesn't come with a transition. It doesn't mean that it doesn't come with a part of you that is no longer living in this space now. And so I just want to invite you to be okay with making these types of transitions in your life. It is natural to go through a grieving process of that version of yourself because even though things were really, really hard for her, you loved her. She handled business like a boss, okay? She was doing the dang on thing. She was doing the impossible and making it look easy. Okay. She was the one who had it all the way going on. And there were many reasons why you admired her and loved her so dearly. And so it is okay to feel like you're losing that part of yourself. That is natural to feel that way. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're losing her. There are still aspects of her that will always live within you and they'll always be a part of you. And there are still times when I got a call on her. Like she was a very fierce type of a person. And when I need that ferocious fierceness, listen, I'll make a call. Come to the front. So even though she can no longer drive, even though she's not the one making all the decisions, I know that she's still there and I can still count on her. And I really appreciate what she did for me, for my babies. I appreciate her for carrying me through a really difficult chapter of my life. And so I think that there's something beautiful to be appreciative about who you once were. And I think that when you can hold space to appreciate her and show her gratitude and even just really truly thank her for having your back and doing her best with what she had. I think when you can have that level of appreciation and gratitude, it makes that transition so much easier. Because even though you're getting everything that you want, it doesn't mean that it's just easy to step into it and you don't look back or you don't feel like there's a piece of you that's no longer there. Just recognize that she's taken on a different role. She's taken on a different seat. She's no longer in the front. She's no longer driving, but she's still there. And if you need something from her, she will still show up for you. Okay, friend? And I think it's so important that we normalize growth, that growth is a choice. You could choose to stay the same, but that's not living. Life is for the living, life is for growing. And whether we like it or not, change comes. And every time a new change comes, whether it's a new decade of life, whether it's a new career level in your world, whether it's a new relationship or family dynamic, or whether it's changes within your health, we're forever going to be faced with new seasons, new challenges, new something that is going to require a new level of us. And our ability to shift and transition and pivot and flow with the changes of life definitely impacts our quality of life. Because when we are clinging to what once was, we make the transition into what is even more uncomfortable and it can be even more difficult to deal with. So, I think that it's so important for us to just normalize growing, to normalize outgrowing things too. Because, when I look back to my 20s, my early 20s, and that time was so fun. It was filled with partying and traveling and doing all the things that young people do. And friend, listen, okay, we're like, we are not there. I'm not interested. I don't have the energy for that level of era anymore, okay? I love it here. I had fun and I appreciated it while it lasted, but friend, okay? I'm loving this cozy corner. You hear me? So, I think it's just so important for us to just normalize the fact that we are going to grow. We are going to outgrow things, and that includes versions of ourselves. And it's okay. It is okay to grieve what once was in order to welcome in what is so that we can appreciate this too. Because who knows when we're going to outgrow where we are? Who knows when we're going to find ourselves facing a new season or a new change? And it's going to require something new from you, including another version. So I just really invite us to welcome in the new levels of learning ourselves. I think that for as long as we're living, we are going to be learning who we are at different stages and seasons of our life. And that is just the human experience. So the easier it is for us to accept that as a part of the process, then it even makes letting go of those older versions of ourselves a little easier. and we could do it with a little bit more love and a little bit more grace. So you don't have to forget who you were. She's still in there. She's still a part of you. She's just not the one making your decisions anymore. And that's okay, because now that's your job. So I hope that you loved this little insight, friend. And tomorrow's podcast episode talks about grieving who you once were, because that is something that definitely does not get enough airtime, friend. And we have to go there, okay? Because sometimes it definitely feels like a loss. And I'm walking you through that. So make sure you're tuned in tomorrow for that podcast episode. And let me go ahead and get you your journal prompt. So today's journal prompt is, what is one way I am showing up as the old version of me? And how can I honor her today? How can you show her some appreciation and gratitude for how she's helped you make it through seasons of your life? So sweet. Explore that, friend, and be grateful for who you've been. She got you here. She's done so much for you. So beautiful. And in the comments, meet me there and finish this sentence. The version of me I'm finally ready to let go of is the one who always, was she always do, friend? Was she always the people pleaser? Was she always the one shrinking so other people would be comfortable? Was she the one staying in relationships she had no business being in? Listen, now I may or may not have fit all of those criteria at some point in my life, okay? But we are not here to judge or shame, okay? So fill me in. We will continue this convo in the comments. I can't wait to meet you there. And friend, always remember, in this space, we are all about self love, because I love myself so much. I don't play about me. And if you hang out with me long enough, you will love yourself so much that you won't play about you either. Okay, friend? I hope that you love this episode just as much as I love making it for you. And I'll meet you in the comments and see you in the next video tomorrow.